Welcome to Mudimo Awaz, a podcast presented by Musico. I'm your host Mohua. On this podcast, we will talk to dreamers, unsung heroes who have broken the rules as they swam against the current and renewed their vows to themselves as individuals. The believers who've been crazy to start ventures that have made a difference to society and the lives they've touched with their magnanimity and knowledge. As for me, I was in the communications business in a leadership role and also been a homemaker. The slow death of my self-confidence that went unnoticed over the years, when self-worth was based on the validation I sought from others. Quoting the author L.F. Shafaq, do not go with the flow, be the flow. Hi, in today's episode we have with us the Londoner, Sal Yusuf, a theatre and film actor, voice artist, comedian, charmer with blue eyes, and a voice that melts like dark 90% chocolate in your ears. Welcome to Mudimo Awaz, and please tell us, Sal, your story of why you moved to India from London. Tell me.
Namaste. Abse milke khushi hui.
Oh my God. I really now know that you've been in India long.
I've been in India too long. No, but yeah, I know. It's like, forget about this virus that's floating around. I think India is a virus. You see, once it gets into your system, it just doesn't leave you. You know, it's a beautiful country in that respect. It's like, if I leave India, I'll always want to keep coming back to this place. Always. Like a yo-yo. I think I must have done something terrible in my previous life. I think I was like a British soldier or something.
Yeah, you must have done something really bad. It's like karmic.
Yeah, and I have to come back here and rewrite, the messing up I did in the past. I don't know what I did. I don't know. Maybe I was one of these generals who lined people up or something. Or maybe I could have fallen in love with an Indian woman.
And she never ever left you.
She never left me. And then I came back in search of her. And
have you found her, Sal?
No.
So which means there's going to be many more births of Sal Yusuf coming back constantly.
There's plenty of choice though, isn't there? I mean, there's 1.3 billion people, so she's got to be out there somewhere.
Yeah, we all have hope.
Don't we just?
But now you already have a career that's been established, right, Sal, in India, in the film and the theatre circuit. So I doubt if you're ever going to go back,
No.
Do you even consider that?
All right. In all honesty, I mean, India's been an incredible platform. I have a great portfolio here. And, I think the main reason of coming here as well is I was working as a teacher, and I worked for a teacher for almost 10 years. But I never stayed in one place at any time as well. And I hate to say I was an entertainer. I used to do impersonations of people and just to catch the kids' attention.
Where did you do this? You did this in London?
London, the north of England. I'm a bit of a free spirit. I never kind of... Actually, India, Bangalore is the longest I've ever stayed anywhere. Anywhere.
But with the film career, why didn't you consider moving to Bombay and why Bangalore? I mean, was it the Kannada film industry or what was it?
Bombay's saturated. There's too many people. I figured as well that I'll only end up doing background artists. I'll be, the token British soldier, the token foreigner, But here I just had the opportunity because it's smaller. Bangalore's small. It's close knit. It's a very innovative city. There's a lot of great creative elements happening here as well. Even to the point where Bombay would call Bangalore for new artists, for fresh artists.
So you're telling me that the actors from Bangalore are very much in demand in...
They have been. Okay. I mean, I know of instances where people...
Yes, Deepika Padukone is one. Quite a few of them have gone.
They call them.
Yeah.
I mean, they call people from here because if they're shooting an ad or anything like that, I mean, they'll come down to Bangalore.
So how much Hindi have you picked up in Kannada have you picked up?
Mera Hindi अच्छी नहीं है. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರ್ತಲ್ಲ.
Not bad at all. Do you get away with this in Bangalore?
I get by. Beko, kudi, yenappa, yen kelsa badisa. Hindi is like, you got to learn the swear words first.
Yes, in all languages, I think.
You got to learn when people are abusing you.
Yeah.
And then you abuse
and then you know
back.
the whole language,
Can I abuse?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
So this guy said, sala. I say, kon sala. Actually, one of my favorite insults in Kannada is gube.
What does gube mean?
Gube could be an owl or an idiot. Gube. I love it. It's a nice. It's got.
It sounds so much more gentler,
isn't it?
It's a much more gentler abuse than the others that you have in Hindi, right?
I know.
So
Even
you call
in
a person
Turkish
gube.
as well.
Thank you for teaching me that. It's also in Turk. Gube.
Gube.
Thank
Gube.
you. Thank you, Sal Yusuf.
Like guppy, isn't it? Gube. Yeah, guppy is like an insult. Yeah, like you're a fish that swims in the gutter. You guppy.
So you've been in the theatre scene, which has been mainly English, right, Sal?
Yeah,
English
actually,
theatre?
no. I did actually do. I did a play, which was Dreams of Tipu Sultan, which was written by Girish Karnad.
Okay.
And it was a guy called Zafar Muhaddin who basically translated it to Urdu.
Yes.
And so I had some lines in Urdu.
And please tell us the lines. I'm dying to hear
I really
that.
like this line there. It's like, क्या ये मुमकिन है कि टिपू सुल्तान यहाँ से फरार हो गए हो? You see, that's the thing. You see, when a line gets into my head, because I break it down to words.
Okay.
And then I understand. I get the construction of the sentence as well, and being able to speak Turkish as well is useful because it's like the grammar's all over the place. It's not like English.
So you spoke Turkish at home? You're a Turk from London.
No, okay, all right. Let me make Cypriot. Okay, Turkish Cypriot.
Okay.
Which means that my grandmother and my grandfather only spoke Greek. They could only speak Greek. So there were, so there was a mixture along the way of Greek Cypriots. Our village was called Lurigina. Lurigina was a Venetian princess. And so I'm sure there was like Italian. My mother did some research and we found out that it was a Venetian village and we were Christians. So our ancestors were Christians. And when the Ottoman Empire took over Cyprus, they basically said, if you don't convert to Islam, you lose your land.
Wow. And that's how you all
And then that's
converted.
everyone became and then sort of took on that Turkish
So has
thing.
religion ever played a role in your life, in any way, Sal, apart from the name?
Well, apart from the snip, no.
We didn't need to know that, but oh well.
But you know what I'm saying? No, but that's okay. I mean, hygienically, I think that's but I had no choice.
You were very young, I'm sure.
I had no, but old enough to remember. It's like having a tooth extracted, but it was something completely different. That was a different kind of extraction altogether. Does religion play a part? Honestly, I don't follow any particular faith. I would
Even in the most dire
No, I'd say I'm agnostic.
times? Sorry?
Yeah, I know. You say, "Oh God, please help me."
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
But that's really universal because God can be just,
exactly.
any
God can
faith.
be anything. But
Yes.
no, but believe in this though. I mean, I believe there's a universal energy. Definitely,
Yes.
there's a higher being. There's a higher spirit that influences all of us. I don't think I've got here today if it wasn't for some of the strange events that happened in the past.
Absolutely.
I have this, I don't know whether you can call it clairvoyancy, but I have this intuition. I'll give you an example. For instance, I was on the beach in Brighton and I was like a 10-year-old. And randomly I said, I'm going to study here one day. And it happened. I actually didn't have a choice. I ended up studying in Brighton. While I was on my course, I used to look out the window and look at this place called the Brighton Pavilion, which is an Indian palace that was made by George IV, I think. He was so inspired by the palatial palaces in India that he actually recreated his own. It's Brighton, okay? It's on the south coast. It was a spa town, and he made it very popular. It's actually a city now. And I used to stare at it, and I was just so drawn to it. I say to people, whatever you're drawn to, I think that's kind of the universe telling you something.
Yes, absolutely. I so agree with you on this, Sal.
It's hinting something.
It is hinting something to you, for sure.
Yeah, and you get drawn from one thing to another. And curiosity as well drives me. Sometimes I pass a building and say, I wonder what it's like inside that. And lo and behold, somehow you find yourself in that.
I've always felt that even in cities when I go in,
Yeah.
and you look at it from, the bird's eye view, and you keep thinking about how people live in those places, behind those little rooms and the windows and the lights. And that curiosity often leads you to imagine that how life would be for people in different cities. But ultimately, when you sit down and you talk to them, we all have the same stories. Isn't that true?
Yeah. But inevitably, you do find yourself in those places. I mean, it could
Yes,
be
you
a
do.
dream as well.
Yes. I had dreamt of of getting back to writing.
Yeah.
And I always knew that this was probably far-fetched and it's never ever going to come back. And it came back with a bang in 2018, I mean, I had no clue, Sal. So, and look at us, we are here today talking to each other. And yes, yes, of course, I do believe also in energies.
Like-minded people, equally talented people attract, basically. That's what it is. I mean, I'm sure you experience this as well, that there are some people you can barely string a conversation together, like a sentence.
Yes.
So going back to 2018,
yes,
and you had this sudden bang, this sudden epiphany or whatever it was. How did that happen? What was the inspiration behind that?
I just felt that, whenever I was writing, like you for when you two write, right? I'm very much at one with myself. Because nothing can touch me at that moment. No pain, no grief, no, nothing at that. I'm one with myself when I put my pen and paper together. And I don't think I realized that, Sal. It only took me so long to realize this. I think about a few months back when I understood that, because I'm a person who's constantly, my brain is forever crowded with memories, with conversations, with everything. It's constantly like it's overactive. But at the time when I sit down to write, everything shuts itself out.
Where do you think that comes from, though?
I think it comes from a huge, probably innate desire to express a creative part of me that was not touched for so long. Unlike you, Sal, where you came into your being very early, I would assume, in life.
Okay, I mean, what I'm trying to hint.
I'm sure you did theatre in London, didn't you?
Yeah, but you see, this is how I can relate to this as well. It's we talk about imagination as well.
Yes.
Now I do believe in a collective consciousness as well.
Yes.
Because there are times where I've seen something and I'm like, you bugger, that was my idea. But the point is, what if this consciousness was shared amongst many, many people, but they had the opportunity to execute that idea, but you weren't in the position to do that because
yes.
it's like sowing seeds, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So you sow the seeds, and at a point, a plant will grow, and it will grow quicker than the other one, but it doesn't matter because they'll all grow together. Yeah, so it's sowing the seeds of the idea, and like a sunflower, one's going to open before the others do.
Absolutely.
And that will be
so right.
Yeah, and the other one will open. But collectively, you'll look into a field and you see all these beautiful sunflowers, and I think that's really what it is. And I feel that energy is fed into us.
Yes, it is.
We're walking around like antennae.
Yes.
Antennae.
Yes. Yeah? We catch on to each other's energies.
Yeah,
yes.
And it catches.
But I think also somewhere, Sal, this comes from a space of being very confident in yourself.
Absolutely.
And a huge, it also comes from a space of knowing that, if you're arrogant about your art, you're not going to reach anywhere in life.
Don't be too precious about your work.
Yes.
No, but that's, you see, you know where that comes from? That comes from the monetary side of it. You see, what I believe is like, let go of that. Just love what you do. Because inevitably what happens is you become so good at your craft. So, I think it was Steve Martin said, I may misquote him. He said, be so good that you cannot not be noticed.
Yes.
Because you will shine, you will flourish, and you will shine eventually.
And you're honest in your craft, and you persevere. Because you know what, there are times you feel so dejected as an artist, especially in a country like India, where art is considered to never ever fetch money. You're forever asked to do free roles. As a writer, I think the first 1 year went by in me writing probably more than 100 articles that were all for free. And nobody would even want to discuss money with you. And I'm sure that must have been the scene also, when you are in the theatre business. Films, I would imagine, is more commercial.
Okay. Yeah,
You know?
film is.
It is.
I have to say, there's no money in theatre.
Yes, there isn't,
It's
unfortunately.
It's amateur.
Yes.
In that respect. But you see, you asked me about London. Yes, I actually did a lot of amateur theatre. And the reason behind that is because, if you're committed to your craft, if you love what you do, I remember playing a character called Madame Zaza in a play by Dario Fo called Elizabeth, Almost a Woman. I think the character was a courtesan of Queen Elizabeth I.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was like this, high pitched. It sounds like Borat, it dies, but not quite. Came before. It was good. I love, dress up like a transvestite and be on stage for amateur. But it wasn't quite like that.
How did you get that voice? Did you do voice training?
No,
It's natural, Sal.
It's natural because I can slip into different characters like that. I don't know how I do it. I don't know. There are some.
When did you recognize this about yourself, Sal?
Probably the first time I walked on stage and said, "Opens the door," and I was 10 years old, and I loved it. It wasn't the adulation I loved. I just loved that feeling of being on stage. It was that energy, and I really liked that. You can get hooked on that. When you get the butterflies.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the energy, that like nervousness, and then you that first line comes out, and suddenly it's like jumping into the sea.
Did you know that you belong here, right?
Well, I did, but when they
I belong to writing, Sal, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but when you're given roles as a munchkin and you're like 5'11", you know what munchkin is, don't you?
Yes.
From the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
I was a munchkin. I was 5'11".
Oh, so you did Wizard of Oz like any Londoner?
Yeah, and I learned
unfortunately, did you?
Somewhere. Follow the yellow brick road.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Oh my God, we're off.
Yeah.
We're off. Yeah, we stink really badly. Yeah.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
So yeah, no, I used to like imitating people. I don't know why. At like a very early age, there were like characters I liked doing, like Donald Duck.
I'm almost paranoid when I see your face turn red.
I know, but you have to with that one.
Yes.
And then like really like sort of people who are really well known kind of come into the fore as well. It's all about listening and concentrating on. I don't know. It's like I don't know how I can train my voice. I tell you what it's like.
But you must have done a training in your voice.
No, I didn't. It's natural, you see. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where it comes from, but it's a natural ability that I have. With acting as well. Teaching was not a waste of time for me. I learned so much.
What did you teach? You said
everything and anything. Children with behavioral disorders, children with epilepsy of different varieties.
But that requires so much of patience.
Well, I tell you, all right. So I would go from a school with children telling me to fuck off, to a school where there were children who had such a grand mal attacks, whereby they were like, you're talking about a 15-year-old child who was very eloquent in their language, and after a grand mal attack, they can barely feed themselves. When they have and so I was actually working with a group of children.
Tell me about this. What? I've never heard of this ever.
Okay, you have grand mal and petit mal. Petit mal is like you generally get fits. A grand mal attack actually literally rewires you. It's like a reboot. So a child.
And how does it happen?
I don't know. It's that's epilepsy. It's your synapses that going wild. I think it's like an overexertion of energy is basically what that is, and it can just flatten you. So a child who could talk, who could count to 100, now counts to 10, who can barely count to 10. So they're literally taking steps back in their cognitive behavior, basically. But I loved it because I'm teaching these children who have like an ability of like a 1 or a 2-year-old child, and I take puppets. I took a dog and I throw balls, and so I'm going from teaching even teaching in primary school and in high school. So my teaching was so varied. One day I'm in a high school with unruly kids and trying to, that's why I did impersonations. That's why I did mime.
And they did listen to you because they felt,
because
yes,
I caught their attention. I taught a whole lesson I'm an art and design teacher is what I was qualified to do. An art and design teacher. I taught them how to do contours and sketching in a Jamaican accent, basically, a West Indian accent. I said, so first, what you got to do, you got to draw the line there, then you do the circle at the top, and it grabbed their attention. And at the end of the lesson, one kid said, I really enjoyed that, sir, really enjoyed that. And these are unruly kids. I've been in.
It was about connecting, no, Sal?
Yeah, that's what it is. But I enjoyed those. You know when you look back on adversity, you're in a situation that's so stressful. When you look back on it, you laugh. I find it all funny now. And I've learned so. I mean, I remember going into a school where everyone shouted. The kids shouted at the teachers and the teachers shouted. And this was in a place called Hull in the north of England.
Yes, and they can be really unruly.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids, And then teaching in the south of England as well, where they're coming completely like off their heads as well. I taught technology as well. My God, but I have so many great memories of these kids. You see, when eventually, you asked me about India and like, will I be here forever? No, because I feel like I came here
for a reason.
But then I'm gonna go from here and I'm gonna grow. I really feel like I want to grow internationally, is what I want to do. I'd like to set foot back in London and then actually write a series. I've got a series in mind for London because I was a supply teacher, a substitute teacher. So I've just given you a few stories. I have countless stories, and if any budding writers out there. Let me just say this. Any budding writers out there, unless you have an incredibly, I don't know, you say eclectic. I would say a diverse way of thinking or a very, like a scientific way of thinking as well. Like, I'll give you an example. Inception is something which you can only employ people from that ilk, those kind of scientists.
For them
to create. I can't do that. I honestly can't do that. I mean, I like science fiction, but my science fiction is Back to the Future. That's simplistic, but you're still crossing lines of.
So, what kind of writing do you really like to do?
I like to. I'm a fan of Ricky Gervais because I know he writes from experience, and I feel like there's a kindred spirit there as well, because he did The Office. And The Office is because he worked in an office for 10 years. I worked as a teacher for 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. So he had his material. It was there.
Yes.
He basically
and I think experiences are so much more real, so much more honest.
Absolutely.
And I think any honest voice is what really, touches another person when they're listening to you or they're reading what you, are going to put together.
So you don't have to rack your brain to come up with an idea. You've lived it.
Yes.
And I would say to any actor as well, like, so how do you get into the industry? Live, experience life, experience the ups and downs. But when you do that, you can take the downs, you can make them highs. You take a negative emotion and you turn it into a positive one. And it's oh God, I've become so philosophical now, haven't I? I thought we were going to have a laugh.
Tell us about Tiger Zinda Hai, Sal.
Why?
Because I'd love to know what it was like for the Londoner in a blockbuster Hindi film.
With Salman.
With Katrina.
With Katrina, looking.
She's also from London.
Is she really? No,
yes.
I thought she was from Singapore. Oh, no, she
from
was
London
from London
too. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
So did you get to do a love scene with Katrina?
Yeah, basically, she took off her robe.
Oh my God!
She took off her what is that? Her burqa, and underneath was Laura Croft, and then she slit my throat. That was it. I said, "Take off your clothes." She did, and then she got the knife out, and next thing I know, I'm like falling on the couch, like
Oh my God, that's a very noble way to die.
It was.
With
it was a very
Katrina as Lara Croft. I mean, amazing.
I had artistic license to look her up and down, though. That was like, it was like, oh my God. It was like, oh dear, men would die to be in this position, and then I died in that scene. And if you want to watch it, I think it's Terenor, Tera.
Okay.
It's a video which you'll find. I think, wow, it's like, I don't know, I think it must have hit 30 million hits, but it's a really good song. It's so strange. Going back to what I said earlier, there was one person who I really liked as a singer, Atif Aslam.
Atif Aslam, yeah. He's not from India. He's a Pakistani
No, I know.
singer, yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked him.
Yes.
Volam Hai is like one of my favorite
songs.
Now, you know who's singing on this video that I appear in?
Atif Aslam.
You see what I'm saying about how some things kind of like wrap themselves.
They keep coming back to you in life.
What a weird coincidence that is.
Yes, it is.
That I happen to be in a music video and he's the guy that's singing, So, when I said earlier that you're drawn to things.
Yes.
And I was drawn to him because I loved his voice.
But there must have been a divine connection for you somewhere that you're not at all.
Divine intervention.
No, because you need to be really in touch with your higher self, Sal, for things to come together. And that
Absolutely.
I seriously believe in.
Yeah. There's something as well that I've like recently been doing as well. It's like I've kind of got into a meditative state. So, and I realized this as well. I employ this for acting as well. So if I need to get into emotion, I can feel what I used to think was my blood coursing through my veins. But actually it's the energy.
It is the energy.
Yeah, and I mistook that for blood just coursing through your veins. But then that's part of And so, Tiger Zinda Hai, for instance, I kind of used that energy, but I used a layering to do that. And when I say a layering, I had a beard, and then the makeup would come on, the wig would come on, and then the headdress would come on, then the robes would come on as well. And slowly I'm like adding to this layer. And as I'm adding to this layer in terms of a costume, then the darkness of that character starts to seep in.
It enters your system.
Yeah, and then it enters your system. And then you hold that. And then when you walk onto set, you're still like that. Yeah.
I get the goosebumps listening to yourself.
No, and
how do you snap out of that? Because it can be really crazy.
Okay, if you check out some of my work, there was one thing that I did that was it was very dark. So in an ad, I'm playing a serial killer, and I've got this big machete. But to do that, I was standing in the garden. At that time, it was quite dark, and I just got into this really dark, saying, I'm going to kill someone. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to kill someone, slaughter someone. And then, I was just saying that. It was like almost like a mantra, and you do that. And then you sink, and then you get into that. And I walked in, and then, and you can see it. I felt it. It was like really dark. It was really dark. As I'm not talking about the lighting, I'm talking about the character.
I got that.
But, for me, overnight, I snapped out of it overnight. But it holds you. It does actually, it clings onto you as well.
But
it really does.
As a writer, Sal, you know what? I think I also delve into my own personal experiences. Yeah. And from there, you do, you relate to things around you, and then the metaphor of things come out, and then you put that out on paper. How would you do a role of a killer, a ruthless king? And, how would you do that? Because, you've been in London and you've been a city man. And
but I've been in situations which have been
That's
quite
exactly
scary,
what I'm coming to.
I've been in some,
you need to be in situations, for you to be able to get into that dark space for yourself inside.
That's one thing. I mean, no, but I'm actually a really peaceful person.
Yes, you are.
See, that's
of course
the thing.
You are.
I'm so calm and collected. It takes time to get into something like that. And actually what I do is I'm kind of like more inspired by, that's why I watch things. And then I feel that darkness as well. Because, films, writing, that can affect you as well. And then, you get into that, you can tap into that emotion. Okay, I recently auditioned for a part. Okay, and it was a role as a jihadi, like a villain.
Okay.
But before that, it was kind of a prequel to that. For some reason, I had this fascination with Ted Bundy, the serial killer.
Yes.
Yeah, people like not Marilyn Manson, but he's actually really interesting as well. Marilyn Manson's interesting because he's incredibly eloquent, very intelligent. You know, you can't be a dumb interviewer and expect to go one up on him. There's no one-upmanship on that guy. He's very
sharp.
curt, very sharp. And some of the things he says, has he actually got a point? And even that madman, Charles Manson, was very interesting to listen to, you know? And they've come from dark places. And it was really interesting to watch the last interview by Ted Bundy, because you can see how manipulative he is, how he's manipulating the situation. Just his body language, his eye contact, and that's what you study. That's what you study. So if you want to play... if you want to play the role of a psychopath, you watch videos of psychopaths. You study them, and that's what it is, and you get into that. See, I think one of the actors who I admire the most, but there are some actors who I really admire, and one is Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh,
and
yes.
the reason why he had his roles are far and few between is because if he takes on a role, he ingratiates himself in that role.
Even Jack Nicholson?
Not as much.
Not as much?
And let me. I'll get to that point. What it is Jack Nicholson is incredible, though.
Yes, he is.
He is, and I love Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson can tap into the emotion. What I'm saying about Daniel Day-Lewis is it's not just the emotion, the voice, the accent. It's also the mannerisms. You know,
the entire body language.
Everything,
he just soaks
the appearance. Lincoln.
Yeah.
I think for a whole year he was Lincoln. He signed his letters AB. He signed his letters Lincoln. He spoke.
You
as
lived
Lincoln.
that.
He lived it. His wife left him for 6 months. She didn't leave him, but she left him for 6 months because she couldn't take living with Lincoln. And once he's in the role, he comes out of the role as well.
So there is madness, in every artist.
Yeah, but you know what? It can tip you over the edge as well.
Yes, it can really tip you over the edge.
With Heath Ledger, it tipped him over the edge.
Yes.
It can tip you over the edge. You've got to be really careful how you get into a role and you come out. Someone else who's really invested themselves in their characters is Christian Bale as well. There was one, I think it was called The Machinist. It's A Machinist. He starved himself. He just drank whiskey and water and very little, and he was emancipated. Someone asked me, what is it to be an actor, And I said, well, you're an actor as well. Everyone's an actor. Everyone's an actor because you know what? We've put ourselves in such an unnatural situation.
I think the minute you wake up in the morning, you begin acting.
You're acting.
It is, yes. It's just this that you're probably not conscious. Yeah. You're acting as
You're rehearsing when you look in the mirror.
When you look into the mirror and you start your day. And
you go to the bank and then it's like, oh no, they really screwed me over with this transaction. It's like I have to go in there and I have to behave in this manner and I have to really kick up a fuss and but that's not really me. Yeah, but I have to do that.
Yes.
And you do, and you put on that. When you talk to particular people, you have to talk to them in a particular way, If someone's rude to you, you can be rude back to them. Or you could be a subordinate. You could be a very subordinate. The way you talk to this person and that. So we're all the time acting. We're not behaving in our natural... the only time I think we don't actually act is when we're on our own.
Yes. When the lights are off.
Yeah, because there's no one to perform to.
Yes, there's no one to perform to. What do you do about those blue eyes, Sal? I think my women listeners, they would like to know.
We'll stick them in a jar and then,
my God.
And then preserve them for prosperity. You know what? Okay.
You were born with these blue eyes. You inherited that from your mother.
No, I got it from the next door neighbor.
Oh,
he sadly, it was an organ transplant. I said, I really like your eyes. I don't like these brown ones. Can I have yours instead? And he said, yeah, it's all right.
You're that Angrez in India, huh, Sal?
I don't know where these blue eyes come from. Actually, because, I did tell you, because our village in Cyprus was Venetian. So, and there's not very many Turks with blue eyes. You're right. And I think basically because I'm sure somewhere down the line, if you do your DNA, genome, whatever it is, and you get, and you look at your
Those
tree.
are seriously blue eyes.
I'm sure there are we have probably some Venetian blood in us, and I know that's where the blue eyes come from. But they're kind of grey. They're blue in the sun, and they're grey in the dark.
We need more people like you, Sal Yusuf. Thank you so much
Well, that's it.
for being on the show. The films that you can find Sal in are available on IMDb, and his Instagram account is salyusuf.in, and his website, salyusuf.com.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sal.
It might be there. No, just check it out. Yeah. But yeah, please look at the list. There are probably films that
Would you like to end
about.
it with one dialogue of yours?
A dialogue.
Any of your favorite?
Oh gosh. No, you've put me on the spot now. I can't remember anything. Really, have we run over time now? The only thing I can say is, can I give you a dialogue from one of my favorite films?
Please.
King of Comedy, Robert De Niro. Better to be king for a day than schmuck for a lifetime. Signing off.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.